all started, this is a cormorant, this all started for me back in the late 1970s. I'm an avid bird watcher, and I went out on a boat to go and look at birds out in the ocean. And I saw a cormorant, not this one, but was similar to this, who had its bill caught in plastic. And it was very emaciated. It was out in the middle of the ocean. We were able to catch it in a dip net. It was so emaciated, and we ended its life because there was just no way it was going to survive. It was so bad. But it was very traumatic for me when I was that age, and I just felt very strongly that we need to be doing something about plastics. Fast forward now, this picture comes from a video done by Chris Jordan, and the video is called Midway, Message from the Gyre. And I'll talk about the gyre. It's a plastic gyre in the oceans. But I went to, it was at the Telluride Mountain Film Festival, and I was there giving talk on climate change, and Chris Jordan was there and showed this film, and it really hit me hard. What this is a Laysan albatross chick that has been fed very diligently by its parents, and the parents thought it was keeping it alive, but it didn't realize that all the plastic that the parents were feeding it were not providing the nutrients that it needed. Here, this is the head. If you're having trouble, this is the head. There's a wing here. Midway Island is littered with dead chicks because the parents think that they're feeding the chicks very, very well, and they're getting no nutrients, so they're starving. It's a very, very tough way, very, very tough way to die. So this was in 2009, 2010, around in there, and it was really getting to me, and at that point, I decided I needed to look at climate change and plastics. So I think everybody in this room, almost everybody in this room, was alive when this picture was taken. I can remember where I was the first time I saw that picture. Here's this very, very tiny, fragile place that we live, and we need to be protecting it. And we need to be protecting it from climate change. We need to be protecting it from plastics. And what got me interested then in the plastics and the climate change interaction here is how much CO2 is emitted for every pound of plastics that we produce. So I started doing a study, and I found out that there's about 6 to 1. So if you have 1 pound of plastic, it has emitted 6 pounds of CO2. That's a lot, especially when I show you how much plastic has actually been produced during the world's life. Anyway, it's a fragile place we live in. This is what I want to talk to you about tonight. First, I want to talk to you about the fun facts of plastics. Then we'll talk about wildlife and plastics and how they really don't and shouldn't mix. And then what all of us must do. And I warn you, I'm going to make you all make a pact with me tonight. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about the fun facts about plastics. Okay. Plastics started by this man, Bateman. He invented plastics in 1907, so we've had plastics around for quite a while. But there weren't a lot of plastics made for a while. It took until about the 1950s. So on the x-axis here is time, and on the y-axis is millions of tons of plastics. So in 1950, there were 2.3 million tons of plastics produced throughout the world. By 2000, it had gone up by 2 orders of magnitude. We like plastics, folks. We love plastics. Then by 2015, it had almost doubled. But the way that these kind of curves, these exponential curves work, is 44% of the plastics that have ever been made have been made since 2000. 2000. That's not very long ago. That's how much plastics we're pulling together here. So there's something that because we have so much of it. When we had this much of it, we didn't have to worry. Now, for God's sake, look how much we have. Now, if you take this entire curve and look at all the plastic that has ever been made, we've created 8.3 billion, with a B, billion tons of plastics since it came into occurrence. That's a lot of plastic. So it's equivalent in weight to 25,000 Empire State Buildings. So if you go along and you weigh the Empire State Building, that's how much we have. And 6.3 tons of that 8.3 tons is waste. So only 2 billion tons are not waste. Are not waste. So all this waste is out there, and we're just throwing it out to where the animals are getting in contact with it. Every bit of plastic ever made still exists. That's a really hard thing for me to get my mind around. But that's what the EPA report says. 12% of it has been incinerated. That has its own problems, I guarantee you. Only 9% has been recycled. 79% are in landfills or floating around in the ocean. That's a real scary thought too. 79% of that 8.3 billion, that's a lot. So this is what happens to plastic. It just breaks up and breaks up and breaks up into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. Well, if it gets small enough, well, it'll look kind of like sand, but it still isn't sand, it's plastic. And plastic is permeable, and it takes up toxins, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's not just the fact that it's plastic, it acts like a sponge and takes up toxins. So shoppers worldwide use about 500 billion single-use plastic bags each year. Single use. I want you guys to think about single use. That's the bad stuff. If it's multiple use, it's not quite as bad, but single use is really bad. So here's this beautiful, beautiful whale shark. And he thinks he's eating a jellyfish. About 1 million plastic bags are used each minute worldwide. Annually, about 150 plastic bags are used per person. I'm going to tell you what this number is for the US. It's higher than that. But this is worldwide. So 150 plastic bags per person worldwide. Bangladesh was having so many floods because they had so much plastic that were getting in the drains and wasn't allowing it to drain off. They were having so many bad floods that they decided what they had to do was ban plastic bags because of the flooding. Not because of the plastic bags, but because of the plastic bags causing the flooding. In Ireland, put a 15-cent tax on plastic bags, and it caused a drop of 90% in the use of plastic bags. So see, you can do it. We can cause a change. It can happen. It's happened other places. So what's happened now in the States? States that have banned plastic bags, okay, think about it. What do you think? California, of course. What's the other one?
Washington, Maryland,
Oregon,
Florida.
Hawaii. Because they're surrounded by water. Well, Florida is close to being completely surrounded by water, so why don't we do something? Well, we did. Florida has banned the banning of plastic bags. And I wonder why I live in Florida. Literally, says you, as a city, cannot ban plastic bags. Now, Coral Gables has said, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And so they have, they're in court. If they win, which actually there's indications, early indications that show that they may indeed win, then St. Pete's right behind them, Sarasota's talking about it. I don't know about Northport. But anyway, I think this is a really sad statement. That's a really, really sad statement. Now, St. Pete has done things like ban straws, but not plastic bags. Average annual plastic bag usage of U.S. per person. This is man, woman, and child. There's 365 bags up here. Remember the worldwide average was 150? Woohoo, the U.S. does things better. We're doing it at 365. Not good. Now, the annual plastic bag usage for Denmark per person, what do you think?
0.
4.
No? What?
4.
Ha! You saw my slides.
I did.
4. You win the prize. Now, if Denmark can do it, so can we. Single-use plastics. They by far are the worst. That's really what we have to stop. We have to stop single-use plastic bags. I have Ziploc plastic bags, and my partner keeps saying, Terry, can't we throw this away? I said, no, we'll just put a piece of tape on it. It'll be fine. It won't be. Anyways,